I'm Alexis Reed. It was my parents' 40th wedding anniversary, and the family had gathered for a private celebration. I arrived a little late that evening, the weight of the day still on my shoulders, as I took my seat at the long table. My older brother was already there, cracking jokes as usual. Next to him sat my sister and her husband, my brother-in-law, the local detective. Mom and Dad were at the head of the table, beaming with pride as they celebrated 4 decades of marriage. The room filled with laughter and clinking glasses, while we shared stories and toasted to their long journey together. Everything felt normal, even comfortable, until the main course was served. That's when my brother-in-law suddenly stood up, his expression changing as he looked directly at me. What he said next turned the entire anniversary dinner into something none of us would ever forget. On our wedding anniversary, my brother-in-law declared, "I'm going to arrest you for impersonation." Gee. He handcuffed me while the whole family cheered. I looked him straight in the eye and said, "You just arrested a real federal agent." And then, as the waitstaff cleared the initial plates, everyone settled more comfortably around the long table in the private banquet room. Douglas raised his glass first, his voice warm with years of shared memories. "To 40 years with the best woman I've ever known," he said. Barbara smiled beside him, while the rest of us lifted our glasses and echoed the toast. Laughter rippled through the group as we clinked and took sips. I set my glass down and offered a quick explanation. "Sorry again for arriving late. Work ran longer than expected tonight." Justin leaned back in his chair, fork still in hand. His eyes narrowed slightly as he looked across at me. "Work. Huh? You always say that, Alexis. What exactly keeps you so tied up these days? Must be something pretty important to miss half the evening with your own parents." His tone carried a casual edge, but the question hung heavier than the others. Haley glanced between us, still smiling, while Travis reached for another roll from the basket. "Yeah, little sis," Travis added with a short chuckle. "Some of us have regular jobs that end at 5. Yours seems to stretch into every family event. Must pay well, at least." He kept his voice light, but the competitive undertone slipped through clearly. I kept my answer brief and even. "It does keep me busy, but I'm here now. That's what matters tonight." Justin didn't drop it. He tilted his head, studying me a moment longer. "Busy is one thing, but you never give details. No office stories, no projects, nothing. Most people in law enforcement I know love talking about their cases. You act like yours don't even exist." He paused, then added, "Or maybe they're not exactly what you claim." The table stayed lively with side conversations, but a subtle shift settled in. Douglas asked Barbara about the trip they took last summer, trying to steer things back. Yet Justin's gaze stayed on me. He took another bite, chewed slowly, then spoke again. "Come on, Alexis. We're all family. What's the real story with this job of yours? You disappear for days, show up looking exhausted, and brush off every question. Makes a guy wonder if there's more to it." Travis jumped in once more. his laugh a bit sharper this time. Remember when we were kids? You always had to one-up everybody. Maybe some things never change. Big secret career to impress the folks while the rest of us just show up and do our part. I met Justin's eyes steadily. It's not about impressing anyone. Some jobs simply require discretion. That's all. He gave a small nod, but his expression didn't soften. Discretion. Sure. Or maybe it's something else entirely. The words lingered as more dishes arrived at the table. The laughter continued in pockets around us. Yet the undercurrent of doubt had begun to thread through the evening. Justin kept watching, waiting for any reaction that might confirm whatever suspicion he carried. Travis added another offhand remark about mysterious schedules that earned a polite chuckle from Haley. The tension remained mild, masked by the ongoing celebration. But it was there now, quiet and persistent beneath the surface of the anniversary gathering. The main course platters were set down in front of us. Justin stood up from his seat, pushing the chair back with a deliberate scrape that drew every eye to him. His voice rose above the clatter of silverware as he addressed the table. "I have held this in long enough," he said, loud and clear for the whole family to hear. "Alexis, I am going to arrest you for impersonation. You have been committing identity fraud by claiming to be a federal agent when you are not. And I am making this arrest right now, as a local detective." He reached to his belt and pulled out the handcuffs, the metal catching the light as he opened them with a sharp click. The sound hung in the air while he held them up so everyone could see. "This is not a family prank. The evidence I have shows your story is false, and the fraud ends tonight at your parents' anniversary dinner." Haley leaned forward immediately, her words quick and firm in support of her husband. "Justin has good reason for this. We have seen the patterns for years, and if there is impersonation involved, the family needs to know the truth now." Travis set his glass down hard and nodded along. "That's the right call. Justin, if Alexis has been involved in identity fraud, we all have to face it. We've put up with the secrets long enough, and this is the moment to handle it." Douglas froze with his fork halfway to his mouth, his face showing pure surprise. "What are you talking about? Son, this is our 40th anniversary. Is this some kind of joke?" Barbara's hand went to her chest, her eyes wide with confusion as she looked between Justin and me. "I don't understand any of this." "Alexis, what is happening, Justin? This seems so sudden and out of place." Justin kept his stance, his tone gaining strength as he continued. "The late arrivals without real explanations. The complete lack of any verifiable details about your work. The way you dodge every direct question. It all adds up to identity fraud. I am not going to let the family be deceived any longer." Haley spoke up again, backing her husband without pause. "We stand with you completely, Justin. The family deserves honesty tonight." Travis added his agreement right away. "Exactly. No more hiding behind vague answers. This is the way to resolve it." The parents stayed in their state of initial surprise, Douglas shaking his head slowly while he tried to process the accusation. Barbara kept glancing from Justin to me, her expression still showing bewilderment, but not yet full belief. Justin took a step closer to my side of the table, the handcuffs still ready in his hand. "You have used a false identity to maintain this facade for too long, and I am putting an end to it here, and now." Haley continued to show her support with another short comment that reinforced the moment. This is for the good of everyone at the table. Travis kept his backing visible through one more remark. We are all behind this decision. Douglas tried to intervene again, his voice uncertain. Let's slow down. This is supposed to be a celebration for your mother and me. Barbara echoed the same feeling in a quiet tone. We need more information before anything like an arrest happens. The room that had been warm with laughter earlier now felt the weight of the public accusation. As Justin prepared to follow through, Haley and Travis stayed firmly aligned with him, their words continuing to build the support without going back to any earlier conversation. The parents remained caught in their initial surprise, their faces showing they were disturbed by the sudden turn, but still searching for some explanation that would make sense of it all. Justin held his position, the handcuffs ready. As the family watched the scene unfold in the private banquet room, Justin moved without hesitation. He stepped around the table and took hold of my wrist firmly, snapping one side of the handcuffs onto it with a loud, metallic click that echoed through the private banquet room. The second cuff closed around the other wrist before I could pull away. The cold steel pressed against my skin as he secured them tight enough to make any movement restricted. The whole family reacted at once. Haley clapped her hands together and let out a bright laugh. That's how you do it, Justin. Show her we mean business on this anniversary night. Travis burst into loud laughter right after, slapping the table with his palm. Look at that. My brother-in-law actually went through with it. This is the best anniversary surprise we've had in years. He raised his glass high, still chuckling. To Justin, for finally calling out the secrets, several other relatives joined in the cheering, their voices overlapping in a wave of amusement. One uncle shouted encouragement, while an aunt covered her mouth in delighted shock. The room filled with applause and more laughter, as if the entire scene were staged entertainment for the celebration. Douglas stared with his mouth slightly open, but even he managed a hesitant smile after a moment, clearly assuming it was all part of some elaborate family joke. Barbara shook her head with a nervous giggle, her earlier confusion turning into reluctant participation in the light mood. Well, this is certainly memorable, she said softly, though her eyes still darted between us. Justin kept his grip on the chain connecting the cuffs, his posture straight and authoritative. See, no one is taking this seriously because they know the truth when they hear it. The impersonation stops here at your parents' 40th anniversary. He gave the cuffs a small tug to emphasize his point. Haley leaned toward Travis, her laughter continuing. You were right to back him up earlier. This is exactly what the family needed tonight. Travis nodded vigorously, still grinning widely. Absolutely. Watching this unfold makes the whole dinner worth it. No more mysterious excuses after tonight. More cheers rose from the table as another relative called out, "Great job, detective." The positive energy spread quickly, with glasses being raised again in mock toast to the dramatic moment. The sound of clapping and light-hearted comments created a festive atmosphere that drowned out any remaining tension from before. Justin stood tall beside me, clearly satisfied with the family's response. They all see it now. The fraud is exposed in front of everyone who matters. Haley added her voice once more with genuine enthusiasm. We're proud of you for handling this so directly." Travis kept the momentum going with another supportive laugh. "This will be talked about for years at every family gathering." The parents watched the unfolding scene with mixed expressions, Douglas offering a weak chuckle, while Barbara's smile stayed tentative. The rest of the table continued their cheering and joking, treating the handcuffs as the highlight of the anniversary evening. Justin maintained his hold, scanning the faces around us, as the laughter and applause continued without any sign of slowing down. The private banquet room echoed with the family's collective amusement at what they believed was a bold but harmless confrontation. I kept my voice steady. "You just arrested a real federal agent." The words landed with full weight across the table. Justin's grip on the handcuff chain loosened slightly as confusion crossed his face. Haley stopped laughing mid-breath. Travis lowered his raised glass, the smile fading from his lips. At that exact moment, the door to the private banquet room opened. 2 men in dark suits entered without announcement, their badges visible on their belts. They moved with calm purpose straight toward our table. One of them, a tall agent with short graying hair, spoke first in a firm, official tone. "Special Agent Reed, we received your signal. Is everything under control here?" The second agent positioned himself beside Justin, his eyes scanning the scene. "Local detective, you need to release those cuffs immediately. You have just detained an active FBI field agent on duty." Justin blinked hard, his earlier confidence draining away. "What are you talking about?" "This is my sister-in-law. She's been lying about her job for years." The first agent showed his credentials clearly. "I am Supervisory Special Agent Harlan. This is Special Agent Reyes. Alexis Reed is a fully credentialed FBI special agent assigned to sensitive operations. Your actions tonight constitute an unauthorized detention of a federal officer." Haley's face went pale. She reached for Justin's arm but stopped short. "Wait. FBI. Real FBI." But she never said anything like that. Travis stood halfway up from his chair, his voice cracking with disbelief. "Hold on. You mean all this time she actually works for the Bureau, and we just watched her get cuffed like some criminal?" Douglas set his utensils down slowly, his expression shifting from amusement to stunned silence. Barbara brought both hands to her mouth, her eyes wide as she processed the new information. The second agent, Reyes, addressed Justin directly. "Hand over the keys. Now. Any further interference will be documented and reported to your department's internal affairs." Justin fumbled for the keys at his belt, his hands shaking as he unlocked the cuffs. The metal released with 2 quick clicks. I rubbed my wrists once they were free, keeping my posture composed. Supervisory Special Agent Harlan continued speaking to the entire table. "Agent Reed has been operating under strict confidentiality protocols. Her assignments often require minimal disclosure, even to close family. What happened here tonight was an overreach based on incomplete assumptions." "Oh." Reyes added a final point while Justin stood frozen. "We will need a full statement from you, detective. Expect contact from both FBI and your own command within the hour." Haley looked at me with a mix of shock and something close to regret. "Alexis, why didn't you ever tell us?" "We thought—" She trailed off, unable to finish. Travis sank back into his seat, rubbing his forehead. "This changes everything. I backed the wrong play completely." The parents remained quiet, their earlier light mood completely gone. Douglas stared at the two federal agents as if trying to confirm they were really there. Barbara's gaze moved between me and Justin, the weight of the moment settling heavily. Justin finally found his voice again, though it came out much quieter. I had indicators. The secrecy. The odd hours. I believed I was protecting the family. Harlan responded evenly. Your intentions do not override federal authority. Agent Reed will brief you no further than necessary. This incident is now official. The two agents stayed positioned near the table, their presence alone shifting the entire dynamic in the room. No more laughter echoed. No more cheers filled the space. The anniversary celebration had crossed into territory none of the family had anticipated. I kept my voice steady. You just arrested a real federal agent. The words landed with full weight across the table. Justin's grip on the handcuff chain loosened slightly as confusion crossed his face. Haley stopped laughing mid-breath. Travis lowered his raised glass, the smile fading from his lips. At that exact moment, the door to the private banquet room opened. Two men in dark suits entered without announcement, their badges visible on their belts. They moved with calm purpose, straight toward our table. One of them, a tall agent with short graying hair, spoke first in a firm, official tone. Special Agent Reed, we received your signal. Is everything under control here? The second agent positioned himself beside Justin, his eyes scanning the scene. Local detective, you need to release those cuffs immediately. You have just detained an active FBI field agent on duty. Justin blinked hard, his earlier confidence draining away. What are you talking about? This is my sister-in-law. She's been lying about her job for years. The first agent showed his credentials clearly. I am Supervisory Special Agent Harlan. This is Special Agent Reyes. Alexis Reed is a fully credentialed FBI special agent assigned to sensitive operations. Your actions tonight constitute an unauthorized detention of a federal officer. Haley's face went pale. She reached for Justin's arm but stopped short. Wait. FBI. Real FBI. But she never said anything like that. Travis stood halfway up from his chair, his voice cracking with disbelief. Hold on. You mean all this time she actually works for the Bureau, and we just watched her get cuffed like some criminal? Douglas set his utensils down slowly, his expression shifting from amusement to stunned silence. Barbara brought both hands to her mouth, her eyes wide as she processed the new information. The second agent, Reyes, addressed Justin directly. Hand over the keys. Now. Any further interference will be documented and reported to your department's internal affairs. Justin fumbled for the keys at his belt, his hands shaking as he unlocked the cuffs. The metal released with 2 quick clicks. I rubbed my wrists once they were free, keeping my posture composed. Supervisory Special Agent Harlan continued speaking to the entire table. Agent Reed has been operating under strict confidentiality protocols. Her assignments often require minimal disclosure, even to close family. What happened here tonight was an overreach based on incomplete assumptions. He died. Reyes added a final point, while Justin stood frozen. We will need a full statement from you, Detective. Expect contact from both FBI and your own command within the hour." Haley looked at me with a mix of shock and something close to regret. "Alexis, why didn't you ever tell us? We thought—" She trailed off, unable to finish. Travis sank back into his seat, rubbing his forehead. "This changes everything. I backed the wrong play completely." The parents remained quiet, their earlier light mood completely gone. Douglas stared at the two federal agents as if trying to confirm they were really there. Barbara's gaze moved between me and Justin, the weight of the moment settling heavily. Justin finally found his voice again, though it came out much quieter. I had indicators, the secrecy, the odd hours. I believed I was protecting the family. Harlan responded evenly. "Your intentions do not override federal authority. Agent Reed will brief you no further than necessary." This incident is now official. The two agents stayed positioned near the table, their presence alone shifting the entire dynamic in the room. No more laughter echoed. No more cheers filled the space. The anniversary celebration had crossed into territory none of the family had anticipated. The two agents remained standing near the table. A heavy silence fell over the private banquet room as the earlier cheers died away completely. Haley's hands rested flat on the tablecloth while she stared at the empty space in front of her. Her face drained of color. She shifted in her chair, but said nothing. The support she had shown Justin moments ago now absent. Travis gripped the edge of his seat, his knuckles turning white. The competitive remarks he had made throughout the dinner were forgotten as he sat motionless, eyes fixed on the floor. The confidence he carried earlier had evaporated entirely. Justin still held the handcuffs loosely, his arms hanging at his sides. Sweat beaded on his forehead, despite the comfortable temperature in the room. He opened his mouth twice before any sound came out, his voice much softer than before. This can't be right. Everything suggested she was hiding something bigger. Harlan kept his posture professional and spoke without emotion. "The matter will be handled through official review. Your department will receive formal notification shortly." Reyes checked his watch briefly before adding, "We advise against any further comments until you consult with your superiors." Douglas pushed his plate away slowly, his shoulders heavy as he looked around the table. The pride he had shown when toasting earlier was replaced by deep lines of worry across his brow. He tried to speak but only managed a quiet exhale. Barbara pressed a napkin to her lips, her eyes glistening as she fought to maintain composure. She glanced at me several times, searching for familiarity in a situation that had turned foreign in minutes. The celebratory energy she brought to the anniversary had vanished. Haley broke the quiet first with a strained whisper directed at no one in particular. "We celebrated too soon. Everything feels different now." Travis exhaled sharply, finally lifting his head. "I encouraged it. I thought we were exposing the truth, not creating this kind of scene on Mom and Dad's night." Justin wiped his forehead with the back of his hand, his earlier firm stance gone. The irregular hours, the vague answers, the way she always changed the subject. In my line of work, those are red flags. I acted on what I saw. Harlan responded with the same even tone. Assumptions based on partial information led here. The full context was not available to you. The second agent remained alert but silent, observing the family's reactions without interrupting. Douglas finally found words, though they came out tired. 40 years together. And this is how the evening unfolds. I don't know what to say to any of you right now. Barbara nodded slowly beside him, her voice trembling slightly. We raised you all to be close. Tonight showed how little we actually understand about each other's lives. Haley turned toward Justin with visible strain. You were so sure. Now look at what happened in front of everyone. Travis added quietly, his usual energy missing. We all piled on without thinking twice. That includes me. Justin looked at the agents, then back at the family. I never intended to ruin the anniversary. My job is to spot deception. And I believed I had found it here. The room stayed quiet except for the occasional clink of silverware as someone nervously adjusted their position. No one reached for food or drink anymore. The private banquet room that had echoed with laughter earlier now held only the sound of uncomfortable breathing and shifting chairs. Harlan glanced at his partner before speaking once more to the group. We will step outside to coordinate. Agent Reed, let us know if you require assistance leaving. The family members exchanged uneasy glances, the weight of the revelation pressing down as the reality of the situation continued to sink in around the long table. The anniversary gathering had shifted into something none of them had prepared for, leaving each person to confront their own part in the events of the evening. The two agents stepped out of the room to make their calls. Justin's phone rang almost immediately. He answered it, while still standing near the table, his posture stiffening as he listened. The voice on the line was loud enough that a few words carried across the quiet room. When he hung up, his face had lost all remaining color. That was my lieutenant. Internal Affairs is opening a file tonight. They want me at the station first thing tomorrow for a formal interview about detaining a federal agent without proper cause. Haley covered her mouth with one hand. Tomorrow. But it was just a family dinner. Can't they see it was a mistake? Justin shook his head slowly. They don't care about family dinners. My record is clean until now. This could delay my promotion for years. Maybe even block it completely. And wrong move with the feds and your career takes the hit. Travis pushed his chair back a few inches, the legs scraping loudly against the floor. I told you to be careful with the accusations. Now look where we are. My own sister turns out to be legit, and you're the one facing an official review. Douglas remained standing by the window, his hands clasped behind his back. Your mother and I saved for months to reserve this private room at the country club. We wanted one peaceful night to mark 40 years. Instead, we get federal agents, handcuffs, and now your job in jeopardy. Barbara folded her napkin neatly and placed it beside her plate, though her hands trembled slightly. We never pushed you for details about your work. Alexis, we respected your privacy, but seeing Justin pay a professional price because of assumptions made at our anniversary table, it's more than I can take right now. Justin checked his phone again as another message arrived. My union rep just texted. He says I should not discuss the incident further without him present. The department already reached out to the FBI for their side of the story. Haley stood up beside him, her voice barely above a whisper. Maybe if we explain everything calmly tomorrow, they'll understand it was never malicious. He gave a short, bitter laugh. Explaining won't erase the paperwork. I used department-issued cuffs on a federal agent in front of witnesses. That's not something they overlook easily. Travis rubbed the back of his neck, avoiding eye contact with anyone. I added fuel by agreeing with you the whole time. Now the whole family looks bad, And your career is the one taking the real damage. Douglas finally turned from the window. We raised you kids to support each other, not ambush one another in public. Tonight showed how little trust exists between us anymore. Barbara's eyes moved slowly around the table. The dessert is still sitting there untouched. No one feels like eating after all this. I think it's time we leave before anything else happens. Justin picked up his jacket from the back of the chair. I need to head out now and prepare my statement. The sooner I get ahead of this, the better chance I have to limit the consequences at work. Haley gathered her purse, staying close to her husband. I'll drive. You shouldn't be alone right now. Travis stayed seated a moment longer before standing. I'll walk you both out. We should talk about how to handle the rest of the family who weren't here tonight. Douglas helped Barbara with her coat, his movements deliberate and tired. Your mother and I will settle the bill. After that, we're going straight home. This anniversary is over. The group moved toward the door in small clusters, the earlier warmth of the celebration replaced by awkward distance. Justin kept his eyes on the floor as he walked. Haley stayed right beside him but said little. Travis followed a few steps behind, his usual energy gone. Douglas and Barbara brought up the rear, their shoulders heavy with disappointment. No one suggested another gathering or future plans. The private banquet room grew quieter with each person leaving, the weight of professional consequences and broken family trust lingering in the empty space behind them. I walked out of the country club alone. The cool night air hit me as soon as I stepped outside. I did not look back at the building, or wait for anyone to follow. My phone stayed silent in my pocket because I had already blocked every family number on the drive home. No calls, no messages, no explanations needed. Anymore. The next morning, Justin received official notice from his department. Internal Affairs opened a full investigation into the unauthorized detention of a federal officer. His promotion review, scheduled for the following month, was postponed indefinitely. Colleagues who once respected his record now kept their distance. Word spread quickly through the local police community, and the stain of the incident followed him for years afterward. Haley tried reaching out once through a mutual friend, but I never responded. Travis sent a short text weeks later asking to talk, yet I deleted it without replying. Douglas and Barbara left voicemails that grew quieter over time until they stopped completely. The family group chat went dark, and no one attempted to restart it. I returned to my regular assignments with the Bureau, focusing on cases that demanded complete discretion. The work continued as it always had, but the distance I placed between myself and the family became permanent. Holidays passed without invitations or acknowledgments. Birthdays went unmarked. The bond that once existed simply ended that night at the anniversary dinner. Years later, the consequences for Justin remained visible. He stayed at the same rank while younger officers advanced around him. Department evaluations mentioned the incident as a cautionary note in his file. The single decision made at a family celebration cost him professional opportunities he had worked hard to earn. The rest of the family learned to live with the silence. Gatherings became smaller and more strained. Conversations avoided any mention of careers or secrets. The trust that should have held us together had fractured beyond repair. Looking back, the lesson stays clear. Never assume you know someone's full story simply because they choose not to share every detail. Family members who hide their successes to protect their work are not deceiving anyone. They are protecting something larger than Sunday dinners or anniversary toasts. When doubt turns into public accusation without real evidence, the damage spreads far beyond the moment it happens. Respect for boundaries matters more than satisfying curiosity, especially when careers and reputations hang in the balance. I kept moving forward with my own life, carrying the quiet knowledge that some breaks cannot be mended. The anniversary night at the country club in suburban Atlanta taught everyone at that table a hard truth about assumptions, consequences, and the real cost of turning doubt into action.